Hey, what is up, mortals? It is AvyrVA here with a new video for you! In this video, we'll dive into the Quirk power tier list from My Hero Academia. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying just sit back and relax, cause you're in for a treat. So let's get started. Thanks to a mysterious event that happened sometimes in the recent past, over 80% of the world's population now have special abilities, known as Quirks. Quirks give them abilities otherwise unheard of for a human being, such as to emit fire at will, or to throw objects around with their minds. However, some Quirks are stronger in direct or indirect combat than others. This video is the first in a two-part set covering the Quirks of all the essential characters in the My Hero Academia anime. To start things off, I will explain how I am ranking the Quirks. I will be using a point system that scores Quirks in several categories. For example, power, the forces the Quirks puts out, range, relating to the distance the Quirks can affect, creativity, the utility of a Quirk to be used in unique ways in combat, and potential, which is how much stronger the Quirk can be in prime condition. Using these parameters, the Quirks will all get a score out of 20. And based on that score, go into a particular tier. So, for an example, Quirks that scores an 18 would be classified as A tier, while Quirks with a 12 would be ranked C tier. With that out of the way, let's get started. First up, it's All Might's Quirk, One for All. Since both Deku and All Might use this quirk differently, and there is a power difference, they are ranked separately. One for All grants a considerable power boost and increase with each new use and carries the quirks it was used once. In All Might's capable hands, it is truly effective as a brawling quirk, with a bit of room to be desired on the front of special attacks. Therefore, I rank this one at a B tier, coming in with a score of 16. Next up is Acid, used by Mina. A very useful utility quirk. Acid lets users excrete acids liquid from their bodies, burning things and making floors slippery. If it gets on a weaker physical opponent, it could spell disaster, but physically resistance practically nullify the effect. I rank this quirk at C tier with an 11. Following that, we come to 13's Black Hole. These quirks allow them to create black holes at their fingertips, disintegrating anything that comes into them. The sheer power this quirk showcases is hard to find, but it all requires being able to maneuver yourself into the right place at the right time for maximum effectiveness. I think Black Hole deserves its B tier rank, with a respectable 13 score. Cementless is up next with his quirk, Cement. So aptly named, it allows him to create cement constructs from his body at will, letting him do things from building a defense wall to punching his foes with a concrete hammer. As a useful all-around quirk, I give Cement my rating of B tier with a 14. Next in line is Copy. This quirk lets his user, Monoma, duplicate anyone else's ability, provided he can touch them. Monoma can hold up to 4 quirks simultaneously and use each for 10 minutes before losing it. Copy is an excellent quirk for someone who is very experienced, but does require some skills to be used effectively. I rank this quirk at B tier with 13, with a 5 in potential. Now it's time for Tokiyami's Dark Shadow. Dark Shadow is a living shadow, partially under the control of its users. During the day, Tokiyama can use it like normal, but it becomes challenging to control at night. With this in mind, I rank Dark Shadow at C tier with a 12. Coming up next is an engine used by Tenya Ida. The machine is relatively straightforward, essentially giving the user's engine in their calves to run faster. Although simple in theory, Ida can use the speed in various ways, but it is ultimately a speed boost. I rank Engine at C tier with a 10 for combat prowess. Moving along, we have Bakugo's explosion up next. This quirk is well suited for fighting and mobility, causing the user's sweat to become nitroglycerin and be detonated by them. One of the most significant advantages to this quirk is that the focus and fighting will make Bakugo sweat during battle, further fueling his quirk's destructive power. With all this being said, I give Explosion a B tier with a score of 13. Next we have Foresight, used by Night Eye. This unique quirk allows users to see an almost guaranteed future events by touching a target and maintaining eye contact. Night Eye can use Foresight in conjunctions with dodging to consistency, evade an opponent, leaving them unable to harm you. It only shows you moments with no sound for context, and does not give you any way to fight back. Therefore, I offer Foresight a combat rank of D tier, the lowest on today's list. It has little use on its own in actual combat, and is better as part of a unit. Now we talk about Gigantification, used by Mount Lady. For reasons, a fan favorite, Mount Lady Gigantification allows her to change her body size to a typical kaiju, somewhere around skyscraper height. While this makes for an imposing quirk, it does its best when supplementing someone's experience in martial arts or close combat to shine. Therefore, I give Gigantification a rank of C tier, with a score of 12. Next is Hardening, Kirishima's quirk. This quirk is another simple one, allowing him to harden his skin. This quirk best augments a simple hand-to-hand fighting style or a purely physical confrontation. However, in terms of creativity, it flags behind more involved quirks. I rank this one at C tier with 11 points. From a pure power output standpoint, this is a pretty powerful quirk. However, it has a lot of ways to counteract it. Moving on, we have Manifest from Tamaki. Manifest causes the user's body to take on the properties of the animals they eat, making it a very versatile quirk. It is limited by what kind of food he can eat and whether he has time to do so. Having these changes make him a competent fighter in his own right. I give this one a B tier with 13 points. After that is Permeation, the quirk of Mirio. Permeation allows the users to turn any part of their body incorporeal, effortlessly passing through objects such as walls, floors, or the ground itself. However, while inside a material, Mirio can't see anything, meaning that he needs to know what the enemy will do every time he uses his ability. Nevertheless, Mirio makes an impressive use of his quirk, showing off what it can do at its best. Because of this, I give Permeation a rating of B tier with a 14. With only 2 heroes left, we get to Eri, who uses the quirk Rewind. Rewind allows her to continuously rewind the state of a living being backwards in time. It is shown to be unstable in Eri's hands, but it could be very useful combat quirk if it were under complete control. I give this quirk a B tier rank with a 13 because it has a lot of potential with the right person. Last up for today's heroes is Nijir's Wave Motion. This interesting quirk allows her to expel her stamina energy as a type of energy. This enables her to use it for utility, such as a facilitated flight or combat to blast her foes up close. It has a lot of versatility and many limitations and leaves something to be desired in the pure power department. I think Wave Motion is B tier at 14 points. Before we get back into the dive, I would like to say that, in case you guys didn't know, we are only one of the many We the Celestials channels. If you have the sugar tooth for great storytelling, please give our What If channels a visit as well. Whether it's My Hero Academia What Ifs or Naruto What Ifs, we got you covered. Did we get your attention? Great! Make sure you click on the icon in the top right corner or check the description below for the links to the other channels. Now with that out of the way, let's get back into the dive. And now, we get to the villain portion of today's quirk tier list. Starting with All for One. All for One. like several on this list today. It's difficult to rate the combat powers of this since it relies on the user's familiarity with the quirks they take. This quirks give its users the ability to take quirks from other people, using them all interchangeably. He can even combine them to make devastating attacks. However, it does have its limitation, such as not transferring any of the original's user familiarity or skills with their quirk, meaning he can take quirks and not know how to use them. With all this and more I have not said, I give this broken quirk a rank of A tier, given that it has such potential in the right hands. So, it scored 18 out of 20, which is the highest on the list for today. Next up is Compress. This quirk is relatively straightforward in that its ability collapses a spherical area entirely into a small marble without damaging anything inside the sphere. However, this can be utilized to significantly affect combat by shrinking the globe not to include an opponent's entire body, effectively cutting them in two. In addition, he needs to touch the target to use it, so it is possible to avoid his attacks if you are fast enough. Knowing this, I give Compress a rank of B tier, with 4 across the board. Although it is not a traditional way of fighting, it is challenging to deal with it. After that, we have Doubled, used by Twice. Doubled allows him to functionally clone someone, mind and all, to aid on the battlefield. The copied person even has their quirks if they had one, but they are weaker than their original counterparts and cannot take much damage before being destroyed. Given that the clone's power and use depend on many factors, it is not always perfectly reliable, but still impressive. I rank this quirk a C tier. Next we have Overhaul. This quirk seems almost unfair when put against anyone, except for All for One. Overhaul gives the users the ability to rearrange the molecule structures of absolutely any material within a certain radius, including their own body. This can be anything from manipulating the environment to give himself an advantage to disfigure or disintegrate his opponent when they are within range. He can even use this to take other people into his body, augmenting himself and even using others' quirks. Overhaul takes second place in today's ranking, with a solid A tier rank at 17 points. Moving on from that, we get to Warp Gate. This one allows its users to generate a black mist that can teleport things through it at will. Warp Gate is an artificial quirk made from several other quirks, and as such, has several drawbacks, such as being coordinated based. With that in mind, I rated Warp Gates to be C tier with 12 points. And now we come to the last two for today, which both have to do with returning forces. First is Elasticity, used by Gentle Criminal. Elasticity allows objects the user touches, including patches of air, to become rubber-like and flexible while still retaining their original weight. This makes evasion and counterattacks priority with this quirk and escape, should it come to that. It does not hit very hard, but it makes it easy to exhaust an opponent's energy. I rank this quirk at a B tier with 13 points. And finally, we come to the final character for the first part of this set. Fleck turns Reflect. This one is a more direct attacker, and while one note, it does one thing, and does it exceptionally well, relying on the user's stamina. Reflect absorbs all energy directed at the user and redirects it back to its source. This ability makes this quirk more effective against more vigorous opponents, and makes it so that glass canyons are at an extremely high risk of loss when going against it. With all these factors in mind, Reflect gets a rating of B tier with 14 points. Okay, that is the end of the first of My Hero Academia anime tier list 2-part set. Please do not forget to keep your eyes turned to our channel when we upload the second part. Thank you all for indulging yourself in all this information thus far. I hope you enjoyed it. Now there are a few more things that I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, If you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials has got you covered. Our We the Celestials My Hero Academia and Naruto What If channels retell the story of their namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Secondly, I'd like to thank everyone involved in producing today's excellent content on behalf of the We the Celestials. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at the We the Celestials, then I'd like to extend you an invitation to join the team. The only caveat is that we only accept members from 16 years and up to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We are always looking for members to join us. Well, that is it from us today's video. So thank you all for watching, and have a great day.